Welcome to On the Chain. This is Chip. Tonight we got a show. I'm flying solo. Well, not exactly. I'll let you know about how that works in just a second. But here we go. We got some things to talk about. First of all, XRP is not the standard. We're going to have to break that down a little bit because something's quite off there. Looks like the UK is moving full force with a vote as far as crypto is concerned. And also Ripple keeps expanding those partnerships. If you guys are ready to go, let's get this thing going. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain, everybody. And you know the drill. You know the drill. You know the thing. Yeah. So like, subscribe, click that notification bell. And what happens? Well, A, you help the channel out. Second of all, you get really good content like this. So right now I'm going to bring in special guest, somebody who can guess, somebody from the OTC family, an OG, been around the block a long time. And who is that person? It's none other than ApexCrypto. What's up, Apex?
Hey, what's going on, Chip? So glad to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, man, it's so glad to have you here. You know, Jeff is away. He's got some work thing going on tonight. But it was really cool. We tried to get John here at least one other time, I think. And look, everybody's popping in here. It's finally another live. Hope you're good. Kung Fu Tuber. Good to see you guys. Patrick Young is here on the chain. Good to see everybody. So Apex, we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. We're going to talk about some stuff. And so Apex comes in and he's like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, well, that's just the fun time of how we do on the chain. You know, Jeff and I usually have a whole roster of stuff sitting in front of us and we kind of look at it. But I wanted to chat just a little bit about the XRP, the standard. So the thumbnail tonight, we sort of teased the fact that it's not the standard. We got Burns, as otherwise known as Gary Gensler. What's going on with that? What are your thoughts on that whole lawsuit? What do you think is going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah, with the Ripple SEC.
Yeah, Ripple SEC. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I'll be honest. So the big news that dropped, what was it, in the last week or so, where they got the Hinman emails? I'll be honest, I didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Nobody did.
And so part of it is we've seen the SEC delay. And even though the judge has ordered it 5 or 6 times, right? I was like, there is no way on God's green earth that they're ever going to release these emails. And they did. So I was shocked that they did. And even James Filan posted, there was an update where the SEC made a filing today, even there were a couple other Amicus Brief people or organizations that were submitting to file Amicus Briefs. And the SEC filed a response saying they don't object, but they do want to reply. And it seems like the only thing I can make heads or tails of what's going on right now is it almost seems like the SEC knows it's in the end game, right, of summary judgment. They've been fighting and obstructing this whole time. Maybe they're trying to hedge their bets a little bit and play a little bit nice, knowing that the end is in sight and maybe an unfavorable ruling is going their way. And so the SEC seems to have changed their tone, if not for a little bit, here in the last couple months of the case.
All right. Well, that's an interesting perspective because it's kind of hard to really know what they're doing. I mean, quite honestly, it's really something. Here's what you're talking about right here. I was able to go get it and pull it up. But here it is right here. Jimmy Filan put this out here. And what does it say? It says XRP community. So yeah, the SEC takes no position on the motions to file amicus briefs by the Investors Choice Advocates Network and Spend the Bits, but requested to be able to respond in its reply brief in support of the SEC's motion for summary judgment. Interesting.
Yeah. And so it's just, it's a subtle change, but you would think the SEC that has fought so hard this long, they finally give up the Hinman emails, and now they're at least softening to say, hey, we just want to be able to, if they're allowed, we want a chance to reply. So a little bit of maybe a soft change in their approach. And again, we haven't seen this through the first year and 8 months of the case. So that's what's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's not a bad observation there. You know, it's with With the SEC, I mean, Jeff and I talked about filing an amicus brief too. Why not? We receive, you know, as content creators, we receive XRP every time somebody watches. If you have a Coil subscription and you watch it, we get after every show we get XRP. So there's a use case right there. Jeff and I are like, why don't we file an amicus brief? Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, why not? The On the Chain files an amicus brief as a content creator. I'm gonna have
maybe you'll have John Deaton on your behalf. Well, I guess he can't file both for two parties, I would assume. I guess I don't know law, but and then you have to pony up the lawyer fees. You know, it's
but it might be just fun to get just for fun, be part of the case. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Part of the case in another way as an investor on one side, and then the other side as On the Chain, and we're, you know, the OTC family. That might be kind of fun. I thought we would kind of look at this right here. So Ron Hammond, you know Ron Hammond, he's with the Blockchain Association. He seems like the only person over there that has any kind of competency, because I'm a little bit worried. And I don't know. He seems like he's turned a little bit to the dark side since the days he used to work for, you know, in the office there in Warren Davidson. It was really instrumental in really putting together the token taxonomy. And that's, let's see. So
yeah, if there's a good guy in the Blockchain Association, it might be him, which isn't saying a ton because he seems to have hardened quite a bit. Rumor has it that he's even scrubbed, like Ripple used to be a part of his social media profiles. He's scrubbed all of that from it, which is curious to me. I mean, we know the Blockchain Association is basically, it's not really the Blockchain Association. It's Bitcoin and Ethereum, like a lobby group for those two, for proof of work chains. That's all it is.
That about nails it right there. So he said this week in Congress and crypto, there's been a lot of opinions and threads on the Digital Commodity Consumer Protection Act. Say that 4 times fast, Apex. Let's see. I can't even say it once.
DICPA.
That sounds like we might get a strike for that. Be careful. From Senator Stabenow and John Boozman, I will leave the legal analysis to the lawyers, but let's dive into the main question. Will it pass? Let me ask you, will it pass?
No, it's not going to pass.
Hell no.
It's not going to pass at all.
No.
And there's not a chance. It's dead on arrival. Most of these bills, again, this is probably 6 of these bills we've seen in the last 4 years that are dead on arrival. Now, again, some of them, like the Token Taxonomy Act, I think actually provide a meaningful bipartisan path forward. But of course, you got to look at who controls Congress, who controls the House, and who sits in the White House. And none of them, even if it makes it out of committee, even if the House passes it, it's not going to be read in the Senate. And so no, it's another dead on arrival bill. And I think this is just going to keep continuing. Sadly, we need regulatory clarity, but I'm not seeing anything different that suggests that we're any close to it. Again, I know I'm the glass is half empty kind of guy on this, but I just don't see how we get there in the next couple of years.
I think we get there, but I think that it's like everybody gets a spotlight for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about introducing it. Then everyone's like, when's it going to get introduced? And then it finally gets introduced, and it gets a little bit, and then it's like, then it dies down. So he says, regardless of your views on the DCCPA, there are a variety of variables to consider whether this bill gets across the finish line. I think you just outlined those variables, Apex. Next month's election, finalization of text itself, support from regulators, buy-in from congressional leaders, and most importantly, time. Most importantly, nothing happens, right? Important to understand the text of the DCCPA isn't finalized. This is what I like too, when they float these things out there, like a trial balloon, see what people say, see if they get negative feedback. And then sometimes they come back and say, wow, yeah, I mean, it's only a draft, it's not the real thing. And then they strike it, but it doesn't really matter. Staff's working with relevant stakeholders. What is all these buzzwords? Relevant stakeholders? I hear that in business every day. It's like, who are the stakeholders on this? Yeah. Elections and other important factors still viewed as a toss-up. If the red team can take the Senate, it's more likely the R's take the House. If D's lose the Senate, they'll want to get back as many of their priorities. In a lame duck, DCCPA won't likely be high up on the list. And then there's a factor of time. There isn't much of it. And then the election and blah, blah, blah. Let's just cut to the chase here. Let's just go right down here. So with all this presented, many folks are putting the DCCPA at 5 to 10% chance of becoming law. I think it's less than that. I think it's minus 1%. It's
0.
not. You know, the other big one they're talking about right now is has to do with DeFi. And they're like, oh, everybody's all excited about it. And they're meeting with FTX and everybody's putting their ideas in a bucket. I'm like, listen, slow down, slow the roll over there. Let's just back up the DeFi. I'm all for passing DeFi, but not before crypto regulation, right? You get to the back of the bus, okay? It's like you're not getting. I mean, everyone's like DeFi. We don't need DeFi. We don't need stable coins. We need regulation for digital assets, and we need them 3 years ago.
Yeah, and there seems to be, as you sift through the politispeak at Washington, there seems to be a priority that is emerging in regulating crypto, and what it used to be. What was the talk all this last summer? Stablecoin regulation.
Exactly.
I still think before you even get to DeFi, you could argue that how can you even talk about stablecoins without talking about some sort of rules and regulations and definitions when it comes to digital assets, digital commodities, digital securities, what have you. But it seems like the order for Congress and politicians is stable coins. Then, so you want DeFi, nothing is going to happen until they figure out stable coins. And honestly, I think that legislation has the strongest chance of coming first. Still don't think it comes. It's not coming before this election cycle. They're not even in session now. All the buzz about this summer, about they're going to try to get it done before they go into recess. Nope, that's not going to happen. And then there's a really real chance that nothing gets passed if, like you mentioned, if Democrats lose the Senate, they lose the House, and you have a Democratic president, that there's a real chance that no meaningful legislation happens in the U.S., sadly, for the next 2 years. Again, don't want that, but I'm just seeing the cards as they lay. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I got my own ideas about that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to talk about them here, but I do have my own ideas about that. And there's other forums where I talk about that, but not here. But I'm actually far more optimistic on that front. But as far as what the tea leaves look like, I can't say I disagree with you, but I am optimistic that something else could potentially happen. And that would also be very cool as well. I think what's pretty interesting, let's get into some Ripple news here. So let's talk about Ripple. So I've been seeing all of a sudden these videos all over the internet, and people are taking shots of, like, for example, Ripple on, let me show this video right here, pull it up. But this is Ripple on Wall Street. At least that's what the video says. Let's look at this. And of course, you know, I don't talk about my pet peeve enough, but what I would love to do, and let me just get into it a little bit, Apex. What I want to do to punish the humans that do this stupid stuff by taking vertical videos. If you're doing TikTok, cool. If you're walking around town taking videos like this, what we should instantly do is turn their giant 85 screen vertical and punish them. You have to watch Netflix and everything vertically for a week. And then all of a sudden they might arrive at a conclusion like, it's not really the best medium to really watch stuff. You know, I mean, come on. It drives me insane. It's like, you're always like, well, because I mean, look at this giant screen and you see nothing right in there. But anyway, it's like, I call it the soccer mom videos.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more stable for that, because the soccer mom videos are jumping all over the place. And, then they're like, talking to somebody and it's all over the place. And I shouldn't really pick on soccer moms. I'm just telling you, that's a euphemism for anybody out there that takes these type of videos.
So if you make these videos and Chip sees them, he will come find you.
I will. I'll be after you, man. But don't listen. I've also been. It's funny because my kids will be like, "Was that a vertical picture?" I'm like, "Well, it was a full body shot, so it's like a little bit different." I'm like, "Oh, you took a vertical picture. You see?" But look at this. This is incredible. Look at this right here. Here's Wall Street. Crypto means business. Ripple.
This is in New York.
Yeah, that's what it says. This is the Wall Street station right here.
Hey, where's the Ripple case happening? Is that in the Southern District of New York?
Southern District of New York, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Look at this one. Impatience is a virtue. What's that say? Send payments 24/7, 365. I can't quite read it there. What does it say? With Ripple's crypto solutions for business. Impatience is a virtue. That's clever.
Ripple does have some good say what you want about Ripple. They've got great marketers. I will give them
great marketing. Here's the other one here. Of course, again, we have to freeze it because It's a vertical video. Shift your business into carbon neutral. Take a real step towards, I don't know, it's kind of blurry for me. I can't really read it. It's all blurry.
Someone in the chat's got to tell us what it says.
Let's see. Let me see if I can read it. Real step towards net zero with a carbon neutral blockchain and Ripple's crypto solutions for business. And of course, got a cool, I like the, I even like the format, that real wide format like that. Beautiful. Oh, did I start it over? Let's see. I think that might have been the last one there. That's what it was. Yeah.
And that's literally at the Wall Street subway station.
Yeah, very cool, right?
Wow. Yeah.
It's very cool. I like it. And there was another one I had here too. Look at this one here. Let me pull this one up. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here because it'll take me too long to download that video. And let me share it. And which one is it? Which one? What's the name of this page? Oh gosh, this is the other thing is like I have all these tabs open and like which one is it? Is it that one? That seems to be the one. Okay. All right, let's back this up to the beginning. Let's make sure the volume's up. And let's go ahead and share this puppy. Look at this right here. So this right here, hang on. Let me undo this here for a second. This one here, I believe, is the Canary Wharf in London.
In London, yeah.
Yeah. Somebody had put it in there. I don't know what that is, but that's pretty funny. I think it's Canary Wharf. I think that's what I read, but let's look at this one here. This is another great one here.
It's another vertical video.
Can somebody just go to either one of these locations and just do a nicely framed video? You know, I recently went to a concert. I shot some video stuff. I sent it to my buddy. He goes, dude, where'd you get these cool videos? I'm like, dude, I shot them. He goes, but they're so good. I'm like, I know, you know, so like really stable and everything. And I'm like, because yeah, I put a lot of care into it because I really want to watch them. I don't want to watch a jiggly video all over the place, but let's just see what we can do. So here we are as they're walking by in the Canary Wharf.
Well, they call it the tube. They call it the tube, don't they?
Yeah, they do. That's going up. I think that might. There it is right there. Wow. And of course, you can't see a lot of it because the guy's jamming the camera back and forth. So Ripple, think crypto is, and then build something. This is now.
Don't predict the future of finance, I think is what that says.
Maybe that's what it says, yeah.
Think again.
Something about think again. Yeah,
they have an office in London, don't they?
I believe they do. But I think also too they had something going on in London. They've got
is it Swell?
What's that conference? Yeah, Swell I think is going on there.
Oh, they're doing Swell. Okay. Yeah, I suppose it's that time of year, right? They usually do it around this time.
So that's why they're doing it there. So I see that's what the thing is. That's how that tube is like. You just walk forever in a day. It's nonstop.
Have you been to London?
Yeah, many times. I love London. You?
Yeah, I've been once. So yeah, very convenient with the not the subway, the tube or no, what do they call it? There's another line. They call it something else too. It's not the.
Call it the tube.
Is it the tube? Okay.
That's what they call it, the tube. Mind the gap.
That's right.
Mind the gap, baby. Mind the gap. Mind the gap. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. We're starting to see a lot of cool stuff happen with this. I was going to put this up too. This is another interesting piece. Eleanor Terrett over there at Fox Business. She's had a lot of good stuff. A lot of really, if you guys follow her, she's really absolutely solid. Let me do this right here. Before I do that, I want to go ahead and hang on a second. Look at John Gill over here. What is going on? John Gill, I'm all in on OTC. Amicus Briefs for OTC. I like that, John Gill. You know what? We have to talk seriously about that. I'm going to reach out to John Deaton. I'm going to ask him. He's probably going to laugh at me, but I'm like, hey, man, it's principle here, man. I mean, like, you know, it's all on principle, but I think that's a good idea. I would love to file. Can you imagine? On the chain filed is requesting to file an Amicus Briefs. Can you imagine?
That would be awesome. Well, I was asking the question on Twitter like a week ago because I was surprised that we weren't seeing more companies than well, now we've got a couple more that are trying to spend the bits, and the other one I'm blanking on. but I was surprised that we didn't see more. But someone, I think there was a lawyer that had corrected me. Apparently, you can't just like the amicus brief you file has to be fairly unique. Like you can't just pile on and hey,
Right,
200
of
companies are
course.
using ODL because
Yeah.
otherwise a bunch of them just get rejected.
Right. Well, that's why
Yeah.
ours is unique. We're content creators. So content
Right,
creators that benefit from the ecosystem, and real-time payments are streamed. So whoever has a Coil subscription is streaming payments throughout the entire, however long they watch for. But thank you for that, John Gill. All right. I'm going to have to talk to Jeff about this. We're going to have to get serious. We have to get serious about this, right? So I want to throw this up here. Let's take a look at this. This is Eleanor Terrett. She had this little piece here. This is new GOP Leaders, Patrick McHenry, which I love, especially when he's rocking that bow tie. Not too many people can rock the bow tie and like pull it off. Somehow he does it. We got Rep. Huizinga also sent a letter to Rep. Maxine Waters, who runs the Financial Services Committee, the D Party, demanding that she convene a hearing with Gary Gensler in front of the Financial Services Committee next month. The recently announced technical errors and workforce issues at the SEC are top of the rushed, sweeping rulemakings, insufficient comment periods, and regulation by enforcement in the digital asset space necessitate the committee's attention now more than ever. Thoughts on that?
Huizinga, sorry, I'm not familiar with that rep. Is he Republican, Democrat?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's a Republican.
Oh, okay. Because at first and second, I thought it was. I know McHenry's a Republican. I was like, if there was a Democrat and a Republican calling it, I'm like, ooh, that would be even better. Of course, that's not going to happen. But I mean, let's be honest. If you've paid any close attention to the SEC over the last 2+ years or whatever, it's been a complete dumpster fire in every. Not just for crypto. I mean, obviously, crypto,
Everything.
That's what we're here for, in everything. I mean, you get the comments. I don't know if you've ever looked at, like, now a lot of Gary Gensler's stuff is just, the XRP community trolling him, which rightfully earned. But a lot of if you've ever gone through, like, the public comments on the SEC, like, the things that happened with, like, the Robinhood, that was almost 2 years ago. The dark pools, like things that don't even affect crypto that supposedly the SEC has a hand in consumer protection. They've only now started to announce rulemaking and public comments for all of that. And so I'm not surprised. I think how this will read as a partisan issue, because you have two Republicans telling the Democrat chair to call a Democratic appointed chairman of the SEC. That's how it's going to read. That's how the narrative's going to read. But it's about time, because parties aside, Gary Gensler has been an absolute dumpster fire at the SEC. There's no other way to say it.
I got to tell you, I love how she summed it up, because the technical errors and workforce issues, they've had the largest exodus of people leaving the SEC, which has absolutely been an issue. It's like, let's see, who's at the, and the funny thing is, I believe that when Gensler was running the CFTC, there was something similar going on where was a mass exodus at the time. So it's like you have a common denominator, this Gensler character, and two different regulatory agencies, and look what we have here. It's amazing. So you have that, and then you have the rulemakings, which is that's, I don't even know if you call it rulemakings, insufficient comment periods. Like, let's put this out for a week. There's no 3 months, there's no 2 months. It's just like this really short period we're really interested in being transparent in what everybody thinks. And you know what? Nobody gets, by the time people figure it out, it's already been pulled. So I mean, and then the regulation by enforcement, which is the big one. But see, to me, this isn't a real thing where they're both going like, hey, this is just like foreshadowing. This is what's going to happen after they take back the House, right? This is kind of a precursor. Like, you build it up, and you throw that out there, and you say, hey, well, you made this request back in October. And so let's say, you got 3 weeks from now, you've got the election for the midterms. And then all of a sudden, the new Congress takes their seats in 2023, right? So they can always reference that as like, well, hey, we said it back then. We said we wanted to have a hearing back then. But those hearings are coming. So I think one of the reasons we want to have Tom Emmer back on, because I want to just have him. I want to workshop a brand new day. A new day is coming, sir. I want to workshop that for an entire show. Let's just talk all about it. Let's break it down. Let's talk about new. Let's talk about day. Let's talk about what that looks like.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. You bring up an interesting point that Republicans are also positioning here for what happens post-election, and I think we can't lose sight of that either. Is it's not wholly, I would say, my opinion, wholly altruistic. I think you're exactly right. They're positioning for when, if the House flips, if the
when
Senate flips, when.
I think the House is going, I think the Senate's going too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you saw again. I don't know if you saw, but I tweeted that. I actually said I don't make many predictions, but I'm predicting that they will. I think that's what that's about too.
So if it doesn't go that way, then it's all your fault, basically, is what you're trying to say, right? Because you put it out, you publicly stated it, right? And it's like
it is. Hey, for what it's worth, an internet wolf with 3,000 Twitter followers, if he said it, and yep. So I give no financial advice. So.
But you also get the spoils too. If it happens, you'd be like, called it. And everyone's saying that maybe the House and we don't think the Senate, but I nailed it. What are you going to do? It's like, here's another one from Eleanor Terrett. Scoop, DeFi. Sorry, I didn't put you that. DeFi Advocates are holding meetings with FTX and the Senate Agricultural. I think that's the Senate Agriculture Nutrition. That's what it's funny. We do a lot of these stories where this particular regulatory body is dealing with crypto. So to make constructive changes to language pertaining to DeFi and the DCCPA bill, people with knowledge of the meetings tell me that they're optimistic and about 4 to 5 sentences away from having a good bill. Yeah. So adding to one lobbyist says she's questioning the chances of it passing this year. Well, if you watch OTC, you'll notice that we both questioned it. What bills passed? Can we ask that question? None of them.
None, right? I mean, not a lot. There's been very few.
This is an interesting stat. Just happened to be, but just in XRP surpasses 4,350,000 total wallet addresses. Wow. And yet there's only 70,000 people. Probably a lot of trust lines for those drops that are never going to happen, right?
Yeah.
People had those drops, there was something. I wanted to pull this Ripple one up, but I can't locate it. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, this was a David Schwartz thing, but this is probably one of his funnier ones that I recall. But he's always putting these like one-liners out there, and it's weird because either it's going to land or you're going to go like you read it 6 times, you're like,
I think he's super funny sometimes. I'll be honest.
Super funny. Yeah, he's super funny. But look at this one right here. He said a haunted house, but it's filled with Bitcoin maximalists. I love that. It's like you just can picture it. It's a few words on a screen, and you're like, I can picture that. And then look at this image right here. Somebody did. Mr. Intuitive put this one right here. Gary, are you there? I love those videos he does. Gary.
He's so funny.
He's awesome. He's the one that started that whole thing. We haven't had him on the chain either.
He'd be a good one to get.
Look at this one here, and I just happened to come across this one. Matt Hamilton said, I actually had a fantastic conversation with the Bitcoin advocate last night. This is someone with a PhD in consensus algorithms, so knew what they were talking about. Was quite enlightening. We still didn't agree on some aspects, but it gave the most convincing case for it yet, which is, I don't know if we're going to get that, but the argument kind of eventually boiled down to, in the future, we'll have limitless free energy, so it doesn't matter if proof of work breaks, as we won't even need money at that point. LOL. That's it. That was it. So I still don't think that's in my mind, I don't think that's the problem, because people act as though if you're taking this power, you're taking it away from something else. And, there's excess power all over the place. It's like, if you're in a little town and you're Bitcoin mining and you're shutting down half the town. Okay, well, that's a problem. But most of the time, it's not a problem. And they're like, well, what happens if you don't use that energy? That's where I don't buy all that. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to, and when's the last one going to be mined? 2040 something? Last block?
I thought it was,
40.
I thought it was a lot. Doesn't it? It gets exponentially harder, right? The more miners. So it's
Well,
even
what happened?
beyond
Well,
that.
I mean, that halving is what crushes it. So, I mean, at some point, I wonder if it actually makes sense not to mine at some point, and who validates the transaction. So, I mean, there could be a point where it doesn't make sense anymore, and even at its price now, I'm not sure it makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. So,
But even following that logic right there, I mean, it's kind of that dystopian future logic that a lot of arguments lead to, right? Well, it's not really worth talking about because then we'll have free energy or the world's going to end or proof of work breaks, so it's the end of the world. So I feel like it's not a very compelling argument. It seems like that's what he's saying, right? He said proof of work being energy, intense isn't going to matter if we have a future with unlimited energy. But again, it just seems like it's not a very constructive debate. We're not there. We're not anywhere close to that yet. And, you're trying to basically, who knows what everything looks like if we ever get to that future. So I'm never really compelled by those types of arguments personally. It's a fun thought exercise, I guess, but it doesn't drive towards practical application of how we should be building our monetary system today.
yeah, the problem with it is that the best thing going for Bitcoin is spend the bits, and spend the bits
Uses the XRP ledger.
Uses ledger. And it's so funny. It's like, I was trying to tell somebody that today that was like into Bitcoin, and they said, like, I said, you have to know that spend the bits. You could be on Alberta, Canada. You can send Bitcoin from Alberta down to El Salvador, 5 seconds. Bitcoin's there. They're like, it's not possible. I'm like, not with the Lightning Network. It's not, and that's kind of a peer-to-peer thing. And the way they with the keys, that's a really, I mean, if you're going to be embarrassed about anything, you should be embarrassed about the Lightning Network. That is an absolute mess.
Have you ever tried using it?
I haven't
Just
used
for
it.
fun?
No, because I don't. Is it available here? Because it wasn't for a while.
No, I've just seen videos of people trying to use it. I think Crypto Airy had a video.
The Lightning one. The Lightning, yeah, the Lightning.
Yeah, the Lightning Network.
I thought you were talking about spend the bits.
I've never seen anyone because it's supposed to route a path for you, but then the few ones I've seen, it's like no path could be found, or it's like astronomically expensive. So
Jeff put this one in the keep, even though he's not here. He contributed this one, and his line here was, let me read it here. Stakes, anyone? So we have this ongoing bet with Coining 203 Alex and Mr. B Nikk, but this is the one he put in here. I haven't seen this, so we react together. So I don't know. He just threw it in there.
So John, taking that into consideration, I know that we recently saw Jeremy Hogan suggest that if there was going to be a settlement, he thought it might happen by the end of the year. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I read somewhere that 90% of all SEC cases end in a settlement. And if that's correct or not, but do you think that is where we end up, or do you think this thing is going to go to the judge? How do you think this thing ends up?
If there was going to be a settlement, it would be from within 90 days of when they were forced to turn over the documents. And so my timeline agrees with Jeremy Hogan in that sense. Ongoing and future sales of XRP by Ripple and in the secondary market are not security. That if they don't get that, there's not a settlement. If they get that, there's a settlement within minutes. I mean, I'm paraphrasing Stuart Alderati, but he basically said, not to me, to the world, that a settlement happens very quickly if that happens. And if I'm advising Gary Gensler, I'm saying, look, these emails definitely are going to cause issue. We can seal all of this up right now in a settlement. Also, we're really going to lose, Gary. We're going to lose. Let's see if Ripple will pay, let's pick $100 million. Let's take that victory. We can narrow it and say that, each crypto is fact and circumstances. And just because XRP is not a security, that doesn't mean the others aren't. And we can still go after each other one. To me, I'd be in Gary's ear saying, you can get on TV, instead of talking about Kim Kardashian with $1.3 million, dude, you can get up there and say that you helped this company responsible. There's one of these big fintech companies. You got $100 million in addition to the $100 million you got from BlockFi. You're holding these companies accountable. Like, you could just spin it politically. You know, you can imagine all the spin masters. It would make us vomit, right? Personally, to hear him spin it into a victory, but he could.
At the end of the day, isn't the risk greater to them to let it go to a decision and lose than to have to do what you just said and settle and have to spin it? Because they're going to look like winners no matter what. And Ripple's going to write a check, and Ripple's going to, even when Ripple writes a check, they're going to know that they won as well. I mean, but would you agree that it's a greater risk for the SEC to run it to the end and lose?
Absolutely. And the only answer I can come up with is that he's pushed it this far because he needs a victory. And if he can get a victory, he can then say, look, I was right. These cryptos are securities. But that's why somebody has got to get into his head and his ear and make him pay attention to the fact that they're not going to win at summary judgment. The SEC, there's no way Judge Torres is going to grant them summary judgment based on the way they pled the case. The XRP affidavits that Ripple submitted, which is almost 3,000 affidavits that talk about non-investment use, not knowing who Ripple was when they acquired XRP, those are factual issues that a jury could decide. If they're going to go with this theory that every acquisition or purchase of XRP is a security, then that means there's no non-investment utility behind XRP. Well, we all know that's not true. So they're going to lose, and the best they can hope for is the judge says, well, we got to have a jury trial on certain issues. If you're a politician and you're giving a guaranteed victory, public victory, or your enforcement lawyers are saying there's like an 80 to 90% chance we're going to lose, Gary. What does the politician do, right? He takes the guaranteed political win. And so that what makes me think that it should say.
Yeah, what makes me think we're going to be queuing up those stakes is videos like this. That's what makes me think that the stakes, I can smell them right now, you know, starting to smell really good. And, you know, we've been going back and forth on this, I think, since almost day one on this. But my thought is that in order for there to be a settlement, like John Deaton's make a really good point, that they get the victory and we fine them $100 million and you know, yeah, but here's the problem with that. The only way they're going to settle, Stu Alderati said it, Brad Garlinghouse has said it several times, is that they would have to publicly come out and admit, but today's XRP not a security. Like, are they going to do that, Apex? Are they going to come out and are they going to bend a knee and say, nope, it's not a security?
Yeah, I mean, they've played it thus far for a very long time. I mean, by their own admission, they were saying, hey, since 2012, 2013, this is traded as an illegal security. And so there's two problems really. And it what confuses me the most is the fact that they released the Hinman emails. Because I saw a comment in the chat that said, you know, if the SEC wants, they can delay it further to a jury trial. They can push it out further. And yes, that could be true to some extent. But at the same time, if they were going to do that, I think they would have held on to the Hinman emails. You know, I think they would have continued to delay, possibly tried to take it to the second court, et cetera, et cetera. So no, I in some ways, we've been talking about it for years, right? It's a little ridiculous how long they've been keeping this charade going of saying all XRP is a security. It has to be, it has no utility. We've laughed at them for it, but it's almost like maybe you keep telling the lie or selling the narrative. It almost seems like maybe they do have to see it through to the conclusion. You know, just because they've dug this hole, this is what they've made this case about the whole time. I mean, the right thing to do is, I agree with John, is they're fighting a losing battle. They can drag it on more, or they can save face and at least come out with some PR thing on the end of it saying, yeah, Ripple paid a fine, and look at, we did our job as the SEC. Good for us. But those are the only two outcomes that I see from this.
Yeah, I just can't see them doing it, but I would love it. Listen, that's, if you wanted to lose a bet, I would love to lose this bet. Like, I would love to be wrong about it. And like, you know, Sorry, Chip, you lost. Jeff, you guys, sorry. Okay, well, that's horrible. You know, it's like not the worst thing that could happen. It's just that from a sensible point, I didn't think it'd happen. Alex Sheet was the one wanting to show this video. I don't think I can share the sound on it. We looked at it a little bit, but I want to put it back up here because I didn't notice what was going on later in the video here. So let me go ahead and actually, let me see if I can play this. Can I play the sound? Oh, it's somebody singing. So maybe I don't know. Maybe problem is sometimes we get a strike. You know, it's like we don't know. Like there was that weird music going on there, that bubble music in the background of that last video, which I thought was a little bit odd. It was a little bit kooky, weird. But let's try it. Let's give it a shot right here. We can always cut it out later. So here it is right here. Arch rivals XRP and the SEC are set for an epic showdown. SEC, who may have bribed the refs, awaits the game with an undeserved confidence when all of a sudden a faint chant can be heard from the distance. It's the XRP Army, and they don't sound afraid one bit. So let's listen in on this. Look at the that's just to be too much. Look at there. So we got Garlinghouse, we got Stu Alderati, we got John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan. This is some XRP Army right here. Let's look in. Oh, I see Bitboy. I didn't see Bitboy's he's put his face on the side there.
There's Chris Larson too, poking out.
Oh yeah, there's Larson. Yeah. Blockchain backer, Moon Lambo, Darren, XRP, Bearable Guy,
Kevin Cage.
99. There's Kevin Cage. Yeah, beautiful. I don't know who else. XRP the Standard.
Bank XRP.
There's a bunch of faces I recognize in there. There's Conman.
Anders. See Anders.
Anders, yep. There's Mr. B. There's James Rule.
Rosie Rios.
Rosie Rios is there. Rosie Rios is like part of the. She's like, that's too much. Solomon's here. Got Mickle. You know who's not there? I see Jungle hanging out with. And why is Jungle in the back of the room? Come on now. Let's see. Yeah.
Bags. There's XRP Bags.
Bags there. Yeah. Brian Brooks. Bubba Cuggs. Matt Hamilton. Man, I guess we didn't suit up for the XFL. Eleanor Terrett. Wow, it's really loud. Like blow my eardrums out here. Digital asset investor. Who else we have here? Man, it's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, Alex Cobb. There's Alex Cobb.
Didn't make the cut, man. Didn't make the cut.
Hey, neither did I.
Whoever did this, they missed it. But it's better not to be parodied on these silly things anyway. Let me see. Am I following this guy?
That's why.
I'll give him a follow because it is a lot. It is clever. I like it. So I'll give him a follow. It's clever stuff. All right, let's go. Moving right along, people. We have so much other stuff to get to. I wanted to get to this Ripple article. And where is it in the keep here? Why can I not find it? Man, oh man. Here it is right here. Boom. So some Ripple news coming up right here. Let's go ahead and share the screen. Let's present it. Let's get it back up there. I love people that do black screens too. That's great because it's so easy to read. That's why they print books with black pages and white ink, because it's the standard. You know, the facetious there. So Ripple brings the benefits of on-demand liquidity to France and Sweden. This one was written just a couple of days ago, and look at that. Businesses in France and Sweden, however, aren't standing by over the next 5 years, but are interested in embracing crypto solutions now through Ripple's two newest partnerships since 2020. Paris-based pan-European payment institution Lemonway partnered with Ripple to decrease payout times for their customers by streamlining their cross-border payments. Lemonway is now using Ripple's on-demand liquidity ODL solution to enhance their internal treasury management, further positioning the company as la creme de la creme in payments. As the first French payment provider in the marketplace to use ODL, Lemonway is now able to drive operational efficiencies by eliminating the need to pre-fund destination accounts abroad, giving them the opportunity to use previously tapped capital to expand the new markets and scale the business. What's more is also announced a new Ripple partnership with money transfer provider XBot in Sweden to enable instant, affordable retail remittances, because ODL makes it possible to move capital around the world in seconds at the fraction of a cost of traditional payments. So this is pretty cool. 2 new partners, both utilizing on-demand liquidity, so they don't have to pre-fund. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the expansion of the Ripple network. It's the network effect, right, of crypto. The more corridors, the more providers, the more nodes on the network, so to speak. It increases the value of the network. It reminds me a lot of Raoul Pal. I don't know if you follow him.
Sure.
But he talks a lot about the exponential adoption curve of technology throughout history, and how the next evolution of that is how to value crypto networks the same way. And so obviously having a strategic partner like Lemonwave in France and XBot in Sweden is just expanding the value of the network, which is bullish long-term for not just Ripple, but for the XRP ecosystem.
Yeah, well said. It is, but it's cool that it's ODL too, because a lot of times we would hear a different type of partnership, but you see that ODL being embraced, and that's just, like I said, that's just the partnership we hear about. Jeff dropped a line in here. He said, "Chip, your buddy Gary's in love with crypto." So let's take a look at that story, what that looks like. SEC Chair Gensler says crypto is centralized despite founding principles. And then the tagline on that is, crypto may have been founded on the idea of decentralization, says Gensler, but that hasn't stopped centralization from emerging in the market. And then Gary Gensler, Gensler's comments made on Monday before the annual meeting of the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, a prominent trade group representing security firms, banks, asset managers, focused primarily on promoting competition among equity market makers. But the SEC chair, while cautioning on the danger of centralization in traditional finance, as if he's an expert, also made a point to take a passing swipe at the crypto industry. And this is it. We've seen the centralization in the crypto market, which was founded on the idea of decentralization, Gensler said. This field actually has significant concentration among intermediaries, and in the middle of the market, he always does that weird thing with his hands. Wow. Gensler used the analogy of a sand flowing through an hourglass. Way to get with the times, way to pull out of 300 BC with that hourglass and the sands of time. As they process trillions of dollars worth of transactions, can disproportionately capture profits given their advantageous position. He doesn't even know what he's doing. Does this guy have a clue? Does he even have a clue bag to reach in and grab a clue?
No. And again, you hear this. You've heard this talking point from Gensler for years now. He says the same thing. He figures out a new publication to pick it up, whether it's Decrypt or Forbes or whoever. He says these same things, but then ironically, his office refuses to provide clarity for what he means. So even I would guess, because he has yet to do it, he says they are centralized, but he won't even give a definition for what decentralization would look like then. So he spouts centralization. Well, it's in the network is centralized because of ABN. He won't say that. He won't provide clarity. And so he'll keep spouting the same talking points because that's what he's told to do. That's what he's done his whole career. And yet on the other side, what he was on a CNBC interview, and common thing he says, most crypto are securities. And it's like, great, Gary, can you tell us which ones are? I'm not going to comment on any particular That's what he says over and over again. And it's just, you just got to learn to ignore him. His time is obviously dated at the SEC. And he hasn't done anything to advance crypto forward in a meaningful way. I think a lot of us had maybe the wool pulled over our eyes when we saw, hey, this guy taught blockchain at MIT, and he's coming in and he's going to be way better than John Clayton. Well, no, he's been a bureaucrat his most of his life, and this article just displays it again. He says the same thing. When you ask him to define terms, he refuses to do it, and therefore he is not helping the public at all, and so doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, the guys. I mean, well, one thing that his office can't make, but your point really is that if he's interpreting what he believes is crypto, then how is it that he won't tell you what the definition of his interpretation is? Well, almost everything's a crypto. It's like, which ones, Gary? Well, Bitcoin's not. Okay, great. We've heard that for a long time. I'm trying to find something in the chat here.
Even in the enforcement action. So what the SEC brought an enforcement action. I don't know if it's still going, against Coinbase last spring, where they said, Coinbase, you are trading these illegal crypto securities, and it listed them, right? And it forced Coinbase to, their legal, compliance officer, release a statement on it, because the SEC was telling Coinbase, hey, these 6 cryptos are securities. But then again, when you try to ask the SEC about it, they no comment, right? They're not commenting, even though they're alleging in an enforcement action against Coinbase that they are. So it's like, what is it? Are you, if it really is illegal, if they really are securities, can you tell the public that? Well, no, we're not going to tell the public that. But aren't you supposed to? Like, isn't that your role, to provide guidance for the public, to protect the public? But they don't. They're playing it both ways, and they're not moving it forward.
Look, there's a tendency, is what he says, there's a tendency for central intermediaries to benefit from scale, network effects, and access to valuable data. Well, not if you really truly understand what decentralization means, but if you go to the Gary Gensler school of centralization, everything's centralized, and Gensler wants everything centralized so he can, attack it or go after it. Wanted to put this up. K-HUD, thank you. K-HUD had this comment. Thank you for that support. It says, Statler and Waldorf are great. Love Apex as a guest. So there you go. Appreciate that. Thanks, support, K-HUD.
Appreciate it.
That's good stuff. And there was another one too that I'd marked, and I can actually highlight them. There's another one that I wanted to put up here if I can find it. Problem is sometimes these comments go by so fast. This was, let's see, that wasn't it. That was John Gills. There was another one I had highlighted here. And here it is. America was founded on prosperity and independence. Why indents? Why are we being caged? I don't know what that word's supposed to be. Why are we being caged? That was an earlier comment, but I liked it, so I wanted to throw that one up there as well. So very cool. Much appreciation. His job is to throw mud in the water, says Alchemist. Pretty much, that is his job. It's like a dog's job is to go get wet and shake all over you. That's a dog's job. And a kid's job is to get messy and stuff all over their face and dirt and play in the mud. And Gensler's job, throw mud in the water. Pretty much about nails it right there. So let's see what else we have here. Here is something that I think Jeff put this in the keep as well. So here's an interesting use case for Bitcoin. And one that Gary Gensler is going to love. Look at this right here. So we have Chinese intelligence officers bribe an FBI agent with 61,000 in Bitcoin. So Chinese intelligence officials allegedly bribed, because we don't know that happened, a double agent with the FBI to steal information related to an active criminal investigation. Again, does that seem like enough for a bribe? 61,000?
Man, throw your career away for that?
61,000, man. It just doesn't seem to be. It's 61 million. We're talking about something. 6.1 million.
Yeah, you're an FBI agent. Okay. Yeah, that seems like, I don't know. You throw away your career for that? I mean, and jail, obviously. If probably you go to jail forever, right? If you're an FBI agent and you're acting under the influence of a foreign government. Yeah,
let me just try to get through this paragraph. Let's see how we do. Gongcheng He, also known as Dong He, and Jackie He, and Zhang Wang, also known as Zhen Wang, allegedly conspired to steal files and other relevant information related to the ongoing federal criminal investigation and prosecution of a global telecommunications company. It seems like a really silly bribe. I mean, the way they're setting this up for about a telecommunications company, seems like weak sauce. Seems like it could be, I don't know. It just sounds a little bit, doesn't sound the up and up to me.
No, it seems like we're missing information there. It's there.
Not
you read
right.
that and there you have more questions than when you started reading the article.
Yeah, it's that's not a. Here's another one. Let's see what Jeff had in here. Let's see. Okay, so Bitcoin. Here's another one. Bitcoin's correlation with the gold is rising, and here's what it means. Bank of America. So as Bitcoin clings to support above the 19,000 level, the world's largest cryptocurrency correlation with gold is rising, said Bank of America, and that means that investors are using Bitcoin as a safe haven. When analyzing market activity, B of A noted that Bitcoin's relationship to gold was noteworthy. Seems like a pretty heavy headline for not much payoff there. So it's just.
No, I mean it does seem like Bitcoin has Bitcoin's been at 19 for a couple months now, right? I mean,
like
it's
a long time,
but the equities keep going down, stocks keep going down, so maybe it has found its bottom. I don't know what gold's been or how gold's moved. I don't pay attention enough to it to know, but.
Here's another one here. So we have another story. This was Elizabeth Warren and Dems asked the CFPB to revise Section B, Reg E, for remittance fee disclosure up front. When the rule was proposed, Ripple and XRP listed as making this possible. But the tech's expensive, needs mass adoption. Now senators encourage the adoption of new technology to enable it. And in conjunction with that story, we got this one here from Eleanor Terrett. In Senator Warren's letter to financial regulators, she references the left-leaning watchdog group Tech Transparency Project, which did a report in February analyzing the number of Washington insiders now in the crypto industry. Isn't that funny? I can name a couple. Clayton, Hinman.
Strange.
Weird, right? Having read the report, I think it underscores the fractured understanding of the crypto industry. For example, the report refers to Coinbase, Stellar, and Ripple as being the largest players in the industry, with Ripple being the main competitor of Coinbase. What? Say what? That's a little bit off. Hinman is also referenced in the report, which describes him as being the center of a court fight and media controversy over whether his ties to the crypto industry influenced the SEC to either give Bitcoin a free pass, Ether, or Bitcoin a free pass. Crypto Law US and John Deaton are cited for this reference. Pretty interesting. So we come to that time where I go ahead and I say the obligatory, guys, if you like the content here, if you enjoy having guests, especially someone like ApexCrypto, an OG, one of the probably first viewers of On the Chain, guest hosting here with me tonight, go ahead, click that like, click that subscribe. Let's flip it up there. Let's do it. Yeah, like, subscribe, click that notification bell. So, if you want to help the channel out, hit the like button, subscribe. If you want to help yourself out, make sure you hit that notification bell, because that is what sometimes, maybe, sometimes not, will give you the notice that says, hey, these guys are live. Then you jump in here and we're live. But that's all we have. I want to go ahead and give you the last word, Apex, before we get out of here. But thank you for coming on tonight. I know it was a little bit short notice, but I know we talked about it. It was great to have you on the chain tonight.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. I'm not the best, Jeff.
You were great tonight, man.
Sit in, but it was a lot of fun. And if you ever need another guest co-host, I'd be honored to do it again. So thank you so much for having me. And again, thank you to this community. It's been a fun part to be a part of it. We keep driving each other forward and making each other better, and excited for where we go in these coming months and year in crypto. Keep your head on your shoulders.
Hang on a second, man. That got me in the feels right there. got me in the feels. That was well said, well stated, very good. And that's all we really have tonight. Guys, go ahead and have the good rest of the week. We'll be back on Saturday and Sunday and the weekend, and always look out for our shorts. We will, Hans Loaded will go ahead and cut up the shorts, and sometimes you can't watch the whole show, so he'll take some of the best bits, cut them up, and then we release those as 8 to 12 minutes, because I know that not everybody can watch the full stream, but I'll take some of the better bits and cut them up. And watch for those too. They pop up, and there's usually no thumbnail. It looks usually something like this. I'm making a weird face, or, if he cuts this one up, Apex will be like, some weird face. It never catches us looking normal. He was dozing off in the background, something like that. Anyway, that's all we have, guys. And from Apex and Chip, we are out. See you later. See you on the next
Bye.
one. Take care. Take care.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.
Okay, hang on a second. We're not out yet. I saw this from K HUD. Sent a super sticker, needs recognition. We do not let that recognition go unknown, and this is a big deal for On the Chain. So thank you, K HUD, for all your support. John Doe, thank you for your support tonight, and everybody in here. I know we don't usually do that, but I saw that come in. I'm like, we got to address that. So there you go. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And I mean it. Here we go. Are you guys ready? Okay. See you guys.
For real this time.
For real this time. Let's do it.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.